And you will always find that team culture exists on a range of different continua. For example, the ideas of power and status that we've just discussed in the previous slide also relate to a dimension of culture in teams, and that is the power dimension. If there's a sense of high power distance, that is that a lot of authority lies at the top and then there is a deep hierarchy beneath that authority. That creates a status orientated team, so people are naturally put into competition with one another because they are told and they are signaled by the environment to value the status that they gain as they develop their position within the team. It also can lead to reduced creativity because people expect to be told what to do, and they're become used to that idea that authority dictates from above what they're doing. And that also results in lower engagement and participation because a significant factor in participation and commitment is whether motivation to contribute to the team's goals comes from within. If it's an intrinsic motivation, if you're intrinsically motivated, then your levels of commitment will increase and your levels of participation will increase. In high power cultures, one of the consequences is lower participation. In a low power, at the other end of the spectrum, in a low power environment, is more egalitarian in terms of its hierarchical depth. So there isn't such a sense of there's a big boss and the big boss dictates down the way in the chain. And there's therefore less of a concern about relative status among actors because people have a sense of being empowered and therefore their identities within the team are they're stronger and they're more internally derived as opposed to being externally ascribed by, for example, job titles. The difficulty, however, with low power team cultures is they're difficult to manage because of that autonomy. There tend to be more conflicts because people feel as though they do have a voice and therefore they can use it, and very often those voices are conflicting, and the result is that there are many more disagreements. There can be implementation problems with new agendas, for example, because the willingness to take on board different opinions and the distribution of power and authority across the team means that getting a decision over the line and through is more challenging. And I can speak from experience on this because a university is a classic example of a low power distance organization, and particularly within departments there is a great deal of distributed authority and power and a great deal of autonomy among academics, and a university is a good environment in which to explore that kind of team culture. Another example is the attitude towards risk. These relate almost directly to national culture characteristics that you may have come across before. So you have risk avoidance cultures where within the team they value harmony and stability and look for normative behavior and establishing rules in order to ensure that they retain that cohesion and goodwill and well-being among the team members. And then you get risk-taking cultures who value the concept of change, are much more biased towards taking action, and they consider conflict as something that is positive for the development of the team. So they're almost trying to agitate, trying to aggravate the members of the team in order to get to a conclusion. That can be a high stress environment as well, and there are particular examples of working cultures that are quintessentially risk-taking cultures, and the financial sector is a classic one. You will see many examples of risk-taking teams that operate within the financial sector.